This is a food forest I'm building right now. This is the design. Design is what makes a food forest system work. It's how you build an ecosystem and make things actually self-maintaining, actually grow the healthiest, highest quality food. My name is Nick with my company, Eternal Harvest. I build food forests, and this is a series explaining A to Z how to build a food forest. In this video, design. If you don't get this right, you're not gonna have a successful food forest. This is what food forestry is all about. It's about building an ecosystem. Now, when I first got into food forestry, I spent months learning about how design worked, and I was completely overwhelmed. I thought I would never be able to learn how to do it. I thought there's just too many things to consider, and if you get one of these things wrong, your food forest design doesn't work. So I was very overwhelmed. I went and learned everything, but it really doesn't need to be that terribly complicated. It is true that if there are certain things, if you get them wrong, you're gonna mess it up. You have to consider everything. But you can just take more time, and as long as you consider and factor in everything, design can be a lot simpler than you'd think, and I'm gonna break down everything you need to consider in this video. So when you're designing a food forest, all you need to do to start is think about the trees. The trees are the anchor, the core of the system. You take the trees here. I've got pomegranate, I've got pineapple guava, and I've got fig. I've also got an elderberry, which is a large bush. You take those trees, you put them out spaced apart so you have a good canopy structure, and from there you design the rest of the system. You design guilds around the trees. So the first step in food forest design is selecting what trees you want and where you're gonna space them. You oftentimes want space in the canopy between the trees for airflow, for health, for more of a woodland ecosystem. Now this is where food forest design gets exciting. So you have your trees laid out. From there, every plant has a role. Every plant has an ecological niche that it's going to fill. What I really love about designing guilds is that you have this tree in place, and from there, you design the rest of the guild. I'm gonna show you guys an example from this design. Now this was not a super detailed guild design, but let's look at the pineapple, guava, the pomegranate trees. Every plant around this tree fills an ecological niche, and we're doing it in a way to support the tree, to support the whole ecosystem. So from the perspective of the tree, we have plants that keep the pest population in balance by confusing the pests. Pests navigate by smell. You have aromatic plants where their scents throw off the pests. You have plants that build habitat and feed and attract the predators of those pests, so that those pest populations are kept in balance by their predators. That's a permanent solution to pest issues. Instead of having to spray even an organic pesticide over and over again, you can just have ecological balance in place. We also have plants that are building soil, whether it's fixing nitrogen, accumulating organic matter in high amounts, bringing up minerals from deep in the soil with deep tap roots. Different plants have different functions, and I could go on, but overall, you want to attract pollinators, you want to build soil, you want to keep pests in place. So you have plants that are filling all of these different ecological niches, and that's how you build a food forest, is by building an ecosystem. An ecosystem is a community of plants where all the ecological niches are filled. So at the same time as you're filling all of the ecological niches within a food forest system, you have to also fill all of the layers within a forest. And we're gonna talk about this more in the next video. A forest has trees, bushes, shrubs, ground cover, herbaceous material, herbaceous plants. So the real heart of a food forest design is having plants, even vines, at all layers of the ecosystem, at the same time filling all the ecological niches that we just talked about. So you're designing a food forest, now you have your ecological niches, you have your layers in place. You want to leave space for paths so you can walk through. I've got a lot of paths going through this food forest. You want to be able to access your food forest. You want to plan for sunlight. So you want to plan for sunlight over the first couple years, and then also plan for sunlight when the trees are fully mature. And so what does this look like? You can either plant your trees, let them start to grow, and then plant shade-tolerant plants underneath later. Or, and here's the thing, the problem with that, is that these other supporting plants are what's gonna help grow the tree well. And so in order to get that tree to grow well, you wanna plant plants around it that do well in full sun, but are also gonna do well in partial shade. And so on the sunny side of a tree over there, I'm planting a lot more full sun plants. On the shady side of the tree, and you can see some of these trees are already shading plants, I'm putting shade tolerant plants, things that are partial shade to full shade. And so you want to account for sun patterns throughout the entire year. You want to account for the full mature size of plants, but also make it so they'll do well in the first couple years as things are growing and maturing. and you want to leave paths. So in food forest design, like I said, we already covered ecological niches, the layers of the forest. Then you just need to take into account these factors like sun, water, mature canopy size, mature plant size, and how they all relate over the course of time. So that's a lot to consider, and ultimately that's why food forest design can be so complicated. So you're considering, like I said, the ecological niches, the layers, sun, water, mature plant size, and the development of the system over time. If you want your food forest to succeed, there's so much to take into account, so much to consider. This is what I've spent years studying, and it is true you can design a food forest on your own. You're just going to want to be very thorough, put a lot of time into it, make sure you're not messing this up. And you just do that by investing a lot of time, constantly checking, questioning, is this going to work with the sun? Is this going to work with the sun in year 1 versus year 4? Just constantly thinking about these things. But this is also where sometimes I simply design these for people. So I will go and, like I'm doing here, install it for you, but I'm also happy to just design the food forest for you. I do a more conceptual design. I also do a detailed design where I walk you from A to Z, step A to step Z, and everything from design to actually doing the installation, everything you need to know. So if you're interested in that, go to eternalharvestgardens.com. I can help you out there. Also happy to install it for you. And we can have a free call where I'll give you any questions. Maybe you're designing your food forest. You want to run a couple things by me. I will answer these questions for free. And we can also see if it's a good fit for us to work together. But at the very least, you're going to get tons of value from that free call.